Thank you, Mark, and a big hello from London. Well, a very interesting series of technical actions last week in a variety of markets. Let's start with the big hitters. We had a weekly key reversal up in Eurodollar. This was made right at the recent low of the market, and it looked like a good prospect for a rise early this week. Well, we did have a move higher on Monday, but it ran into the brick wall of the February to date downtrend, currently 101.87, and bounced back off lower yesterday. On the way up, it also breached but did not close over the declining short medium moving average, currently at 101.19. Ultimately, well, at least for this week, prices have held onto that old faithful, the lower time of the January to May 2021 bearish Andrews pitchfork, currently at 99.68. This pitchfork has guided the market lower since the middle of last year, but it has been breached and broken twice, though it seems to have repaired itself. It all makes an interesting future as the downtrend and the lower time are gradually squishing the market together. Next, we had a weekly key reversal up in Bitcoin last week. This was interesting as we'd only managed a weekly key reversal down as recently as 4 weeks ago. It seems these two weekly actions have bracketed the market with a move back up over the recent 50% Fibonacci line at 21,403 last week into the mix as well. It also ties in with the recent idea of the market having a trading range, as yesterday prices made a big daily key reversal down, closing back below the 50% Fibonacci line. In some ways it was ironic, as I saw myself shaking my head at some of the sensationalist doom and gloom commentaries I'd heard after last week's initial move below 19,000, which was swiftly rebuffed by the end of last week. Despite the daily key reversal down yesterday, prices are still over 20,000, if only just. Elsewhere, there were also weekly key reversals down in US dollar Swiss franc, US dollar Swedish krona, US dollar Danish krona, and US dollar Polish zloty. All these showing a similar weakness in the dollar last week and opposing currency strength. They all also showed a follow-on lower on Monday, but a reversal, usually a key reversal up, made yesterday, though with varying degrees of potential dollar potency. Thus, the jury is still out on the dollar weakness in these, and also against the euro. As for the exceptions, well, we had a weekly key reversal up in the US dollar against the Chilean peso, and we've seen a robust follow-on higher in that pair. We also had a weekly key reversal up in US dollar Russian ruble, which has not seen a follow-on higher. Finally, there was a weekly key reversal up in sterling against the Japanese yen, which has seen a limited move higher this week. I'd now like to look at some interesting weekly key reversals up in a pair of stock index futures and a stock index on its own. We had a weekly key reversal up in the Emini S&P futures last week. This acted much as the euro against the dollar and Bitcoin did, in that we had a follow-on higher on Monday and also early yesterday, but then yesterday overall turned into a very, very large daily key reversal down, this time with a bearish engulfing pattern. The one thing that is still in favor of last week's weekly key reversal up is that this week's action has not yet at least, broken below last week's range. If we did have that, well, then we could very well have an immediate countering action with all the uncertainty that could bring. The weekly key reversal up we saw in the German DAX futures last week also had a follow-on higher on Monday and early Tuesday. However, Tuesday itself, again, overall, turned into a combination of a bearish dark cloud cover pattern, a bearish double, and an outside day as well. Though the move lower, while significant, still really hasn't dented, well, not dented that much, the bullish weekly pattern from last week. Once again, the jury is still out on last week's pattern and also this week's countering actions. Finally, in this area, we also had a weekly key reversal up in the Shanghai Composite Index. However, there was no such pattern in the CSI 300 or the Shinex index, which does devalue the strength of this pattern somewhat, as we have seen by this week's actions. I'd now like to look at commodities, and we had a weekly key reversal up in spot palladium, which behaved very much in the style of euro against the dollar, Bitcoin and Emini S&P futures. A follow-on higher on Monday and early Tuesday, but by the end of yesterday we had a possible bearish pipe top. And we're back within last week's range, though not breaching below it as yet. Additionally, there were no such weekly key reversals in spot gold, silver, or platinum. We also had an interesting weekly key reversal down in EEX processing potato futures last week, if only just. The market followed on lower, but I put this gapping move lower possibly due to changeover. Since Monday's gap, the market has worked to fill it in, which it has managed to do today. Finally, there was a weekly key reversal up, if only just again, in EEX butter futures last week. Since then, well, nothing. It's as if it hadn't happened, and last week had been an exercise in defining the very recent range and no more. I'm always happy to answer any direct questions with anyone who is interested, and with that I'll finish this section from London. I hope that you found these comments useful.